Welcome to my channel. Today we're exploring one of the most powerful books ever written, Mindset by Dweck. Have you ever wondered why some people grow after failure while others give up? Why some rise after mistakes while others stop trying? In this video, you'll discover how your mindset shapes everything you're learning, work, love, and confidence. Stay till the end, because by the time you finish, you'll not only understand the book, you'll start living it. Chapter 1. The Two Worlds Inside You. Let's begin. Take a deep breath. Imagine two voices living inside your mind. One says, "You're just not good at this." The other says, "You can learn." These two voices belong to two different worlds inside you, the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. One world is afraid of failure. The other world sees failure as a teacher. One world stops at, "I can't." The other whispers, "I can, if I keep trying." The moment you understand this difference, your life starts to change. Because mindset is not something you're born with. It's something you build every day through your thoughts and actions. Think of it like this. Two students take the same test. One gets a low score and says, "I'm dumb." The other says, "I didn't study enough. I can do better next time." The same event, two different reactions. That's the magic of mindset. The first student lives in a fixed mindset, believing ability is something you either have or don't have. The second student lives in a growth mindset, believing ability grows through effort and learning. Which world are you living in right now? Just pause for a second and think about it. The fixed mindset makes you fear mistakes. It tells you that if you fail, you are a failure. It makes you play small, avoid challenges, and run from feedback. You begin to care more about looking smart than about actually learning. But the growth mindset does something amazing. It says your mind is like a muscle. It gets stronger every time you stretch it. It invites challenge. It says, mistakes are not proof of weakness. They are signs of progress. Can you feel how different that energy is? Every person you admire, an athlete, a scientist, a teacher, an artist, they didn't start perfect. They grew. They fell, failed, and tried again. Michael Jordan once said he missed more than 9,000 shots in his career. But he also said, "That's why I succeed." That's the growth mindset in action. Failure was not his end, it was his classroom. And when you think like that, your whole world opens. Suddenly, every difficulty becomes an opportunity to learn. Now I want you to do something with me. Say this out loud. Slowly. I can learn. I can grow. I am not fixed. Let your voice feel those words. Again, I can learn. I can grow. I am not fixed. This is what we call shadowing, repeating powerful sentences to train your mind and your mouth together. Each time you speak these words, you are building a new belief inside yourself. This is not just English practice, this is life practice. Here's a small challenge for you today. Notice your thoughts when you make a mistake. Catch that little voice that says, "I'm not good at this." Then, answer it with kindness. Say, "I'm not good at this yet." You'll feel something change inside you. You'll start to relax, to learn faster, to feel curious instead of afraid. That's how you begin moving from a fixed world into a growing one. So remember, there are two worlds inside you, one that fears and one that grows. You get to choose which one you live in every single day. And the choice you make today could change your entire future. Chapter 2. How your mindset shapes your life. Your mindset is like the invisible lens through which you see everything. Your success, your failures, your relationships, even yourself. Two people can live in the same world, face the same challenge, but experience completely different realities. All because of how they think about what happens to them. That's the power of mindset. It quietly designs your life without you even noticing. Think of a seed planted in the ground. One person says, "It's just a seed, nothing special." Another person says, "This little seed can grow into a strong tree." Both are right, but only one sees the potential. Your mindset decides which one you are. When you look at your dreams, do you see a seed or a tree? The fixed mindset only sees what's already visible. The growth mindset sees what can become. And that one small difference changes everything. Your effort, your courage, your destiny. Let's take a simple example. Imagine you want to learn to play the guitar. The first few days are hard, your fingers hurt. The chords sound wrong. If you have a fixed mindset, you might think, "I'm not talented. I'll never learn." You stop. But with a growth mindset, you say, "It's hard now, but I can get better." So you practice a little more every day. After a few weeks, you hear a clear sound. That tiny improvement fills you with energy. You practice again. That's how growth begins, one belief, one small action, one victory at a time. Carol Dweck, the author of Mindset, found this same pattern everywhere. In schools, workplaces, sports, and families. People with a fixed mindset tried to prove themselves. They avoided mistakes. They saw effort as weakness. But those with a growth mindset tried to improve themselves. They wanted to learn, even if it meant falling many times. This small shift in thinking, from proving to improving, changed their entire lives. Now I want you to pause for a moment. Think about your own life. When something feels difficult, maybe speaking English, learning a new skill, or trying something new, what does your inner voice say? Does it say, "I can't," or "I can learn"? This is not a small question. It's the question that defines who you become. Because your brain listens to your words. If you say, "I can't," your brain stops looking for solutions. But when you say, "I can learn," your brain wakes up and starts building new connections. Here's a simple exercise for you today. Take out a piece of paper and draw 2 columns. In the first column, write down thoughts that come from a fixed mindset. Things like, "I'm not smart," "I always fail," "This is too hard." In the second column, rewrite them with a growth mindset. "I can get smarter," "I learn from every failure," "Hard means I'm growing." Read them aloud slowly. Feel the difference in energy. You're not just changing words, you're reprogramming your mind. In this book, Carol Dweck explains that success is not built by natural talent, but by attitude. Life will test you again and again. You can't control what happens, but you can control how you respond. And that response, that tiny pause between challenge and reaction, is where your mindset speaks. If you fill that space with courage, curiosity, and hope, you'll always find a way forward. So, how does your mindset shape your life? It shapes the way you see failure, the way you handle success, the way you love, learn, and live. Every belief becomes a decision, and every decision becomes a habit. That's why people with a growth mindset don't wait for motivation. They create it. They see every challenge as a mirror reflecting who they can still become. Now, I want you to say this with me. Shadow it slowly, clearly, and with emotion. My life grows when I do. My effort matters. My mistakes help me learn. Again, my life grows when I do. My effort matters. My mistakes help me learn. Beautiful. Keep repeating this daily. These words are small, but they plant powerful seeds in your subconscious mind. So next time life gets hard, don't say, "Why me?" Say, "Try me." Because every challenge is not blocking your path, it is your path. Your mindset decides whether that path ends in fear or growth. Chapter 3. The Power Inside Your Mind. Let's talk about the secret world inside your head, your brain. It's more powerful than any computer, more flexible than any machine. Yet most people don't realize how alive and changeable it truly is. Many still believe that intelligence is fixed, that some people are born smart, and others are not. But science tells a very different story. Your brain changes every time you learn something new. It grows, it connects, it rewires itself. That's the heart of the growth mindset. This process is called neuroplasticity. It simply means that your brain is like clay. It shapes itself based on how you use it. When you practice a new skill, when you face a challenge, or when you make a mistake and try again, your brain builds new pathways. It's like walking through tall grass. The first time, it's hard to move forward. But the more you walk the same path, the clearer it becomes. That's how learning works. The more you repeat, the stronger your mental path becomes. Think of it like muscles. If you lift weights, your muscles grow. If you lift thoughts, through effort and learning, your brain grows too. The difference is invisible but very real. Every time you choose to practice instead of quitting, your brain rewards you with growth. You might not feel it immediately, but it's happening quietly inside you. Every "I can do this" thought is a small light turning on in your mind. Let me tell you a short story. A teacher once gave her class a difficult math test. Many students failed. But instead of saying, "You failed," she wrote one word on each paper. Yet, she said, "You haven't mastered it yet." Something magical happened. The next week, students came back with more energy. They studied harder. They started believing they could improve. Over time, their scores rose higher than ever before. That's not magic. That's mindset meeting science. Your brain loves challenges. It lights up when you try something difficult. When you make a mistake, it doesn't punish you. It learns from you. Every failure sends a signal that says, "Try again in a new way." But if you stop trying, that signal disappears. The growth stops. That's why Dweck says your brain grows strongest when you stretch it, not when you stay comfortable. Now, let's do a little focus activity. Think about something you once thought was impossible, maybe learning English, driving a car, speaking in front of people, or understanding a new idea. You thought you couldn't, but now you can. Remember that journey. Feel it. That's the proof that your brain changed. It's not just theory, you've already lived it. And here's your shadowing exercise. Say this slowly. After me. My brain grows when I use it. My effort changes my ability. I am not fixed, I am growing. Repeat it again. Feel how your voice makes your belief stronger. These sentences are not just practice, they are transformation. The more you use this kind of language, the more your mind believes it. Every word you speak builds a wall, or opens a door. When you say, "I'm bad at this," you close a door. When you say, "I can learn this," you open one. And behind that door is your future. So next time you face a challenge, don't think your brain is the problem. Remember, it's your most powerful partner. It's ready to grow with you. It doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs your effort, your patience, and your belief. Every time you face difficulty, picture your brain as a garden. The effort you make is the water. The mistakes you make are the rain. And the results you get, they're the flowers. You may not see them bloom today, but they're growing silently, beautifully, deep inside. Are you ready to see how this growth creates real results in your life, in your work, your goals, and your achievements? Chapter 4. The Truth About Ability and Accomplishment. Let's begin with a question. Have you ever looked at someone successful and thought, They were born for this. Maybe a singer with a beautiful voice, an athlete with perfect timing, or a student who always gets top marks. We often believe that talent is a gift, something given to a lucky few. But the truth is, success is not built on talent alone. It is built on effort, on habits, and on how you respond when things go wrong. That is what Dweck discovered in Mindset. The people who grow the most are not the ones who start perfect. They are the ones who keep learning. In a fixed mindset, ability feels like a label. You either have it or you don't. People with this mindset often say things like, "I'm not good at math," or "I can't draw." They avoid hard work because they believe if they fail, it means they are not smart. But in a growth mindset, ability is seen as something that can be developed. People say, "I'm learning math," or "I'm practicing drawing." They may start weak, but they finish strong, because they keep improving. Think of the story of Thomas Edison. When asked how he felt after failing 1,000 times to invent the light bulb, he said, "I didn't fail 1,000 times. The light bulb was an invention with 1,000 steps." He understood something powerful. Every failure is not a wall but a step. That is the mindset of accomplishment. It is not about avoiding mistakes, but using them. Now, think about yourself. What is one thing you once thought you could never do? Maybe speaking in English, maybe cooking, maybe public speaking. Remember the first time you tried. It was awkward, maybe even embarrassing. But you tried again. And slowly, things got easier. That is ability growing through effort. That is the truth about success. It is built quietly, day by day, while others are waiting for the right moment to start. Here is a small reflection for you. Close your eyes for a few seconds. Think of a person you admire. Maybe it is a teacher, a musician, a leader, or someone in your family. Now imagine all the times they failed before you ever saw their success. Imagine their nights of doubt, the effort behind the smile, the courage behind the performance. That invisible part is what separates talent from greatness. Talent may start the race, but effort finishes it. Let's do a quick practice together. Repeat these sentences slowly, with feeling. I am not born ready. I become ready. Effort creates skill. Every small step counts. Each time you say these words, you train your brain to respect the process. You remind yourself that your ability is not limited. It is always expanding with use. If you ever feel behind others, remember this. People who seem naturally gifted have simply practiced longer. They have fallen more times, failed more often, and kept going when others stopped. Growth hides behind patience. It waits for those who keep trying. So never compare your beginning to someone else's middle. Your progress is your own masterpiece. Dweck explains that the most successful people are not afraid of effort. They enjoy it. They understand that effort is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of strength. When things feel hard, they say, "Good. That means I am learning." That single thought changes everything. It turns pressure into purpose. So the truth about ability and accomplishment is this. You are not fixed. Your talent is not your limit. Every day you grow. You expand your future. The more you learn, the more capable you become. You do not need to be extraordinary to start. You just need to start to become extraordinary. Chapter 5. The Mindset of a Champion. Every champion begins as a beginner. That might sound simple, but it is one of the most powerful truths about success. Champions are not born with special gifts. They are made through their thoughts, their habits, and the way they face failure. When most people stop, champions take one more step. When others say, "I can't," they whisper, "I will find a way." Dweck explains that the mindset of a champion is not about confidence. It is about belief in growth. Champions trust effort more than talent. They understand that failure is not the end. It is feedback. Think of athletes like Michael Jordan. He missed thousands of shots in his career, but he said that was exactly why he succeeded. He practiced harder after every loss. He turned pain into power. That is the growth mindset at work. Now, imagine two runners. The first runner gives up when the race gets hard. He tells himself he has no talent. The second runner keeps going, even when he feels tired. He repeats in his mind, "Every step makes me stronger." Who do you think wins over time? The one who believes in growth always wins in the long run. Champions do not wait for conditions to be perfect. They train even when it rains. This mindset also appears outside of sports. A writer faces rejection after rejection before publishing a book. A scientist fails hundreds of experiments before discovering something new. A musician practices the same song again and again until it feels right. What connects all of them is not luck, but persistence. They choose growth when it hurts. Here is a small activity for you. Think of something you quit in the past because it felt too hard. Maybe learning a language or a skill. Now imagine if you had continued, even just 5 minutes a day. Where would you be today? That small effort would have built a huge result. Champions think this way. They value consistency more than perfection. Let's do a short shadowing exercise together. Repeat after me, slowly and clearly. I keep going when it's hard. I learn from every failure. Every day I grow stronger. Good. Feel those words. They sound simple, but they train your mind to stay calm under pressure. A true champion focuses on progress, not pride. They are not afraid to look weak while learning. They know that each mistake is a seed of mastery. That is why they stay curious instead of proud. Dweck calls this humility, the secret weapon of a growth mindset. When you are humble, you stay open. When you stay open, you keep improving. Remember, the world only sees the medals, not the mindset. People call champions lucky, but luck only finds those who never stop showing up. Behind every moment of glory is a long story of quiet persistence. That is what you must build in your own journey. So when you face your next challenge, do not ask, "Can I do this?" Ask, "How can I grow through this?" Because a champion is not someone who never loses. A champion is someone who never gives up learning. Are you ready to explore how this same mindset works in business, leadership, and everyday success? Chapter 6: Mindset in Business and Leadership. In the world of business, success is not only about strategy or luck. It is about mindset. Dweck found that in companies across the world, the greatest difference between success and failure was not talent or money. It was the way people thought. A fixed mindset company focuses on power, position, and being right. A growth mindset company focuses on learning, teamwork, and improvement. The first kind of company lives in fear. The second kind grows with courage. Imagine two leaders. The first believes that good employees are born, not made. When mistakes happen, he blames people. When someone does better than him, he feels threatened. The second leader believes everyone can grow. When mistakes happen, he asks, "What can we learn from this?" When his team succeeds, he feels proud, not jealous. Over time, his team becomes stronger, more creative, and happier. The difference is simple but powerful. The mindset of the leader shapes the mindset of the whole team. In a fixed mindset company, people hide problems. They are afraid to speak up. They want to look smart instead of learning. But in a growth mindset culture, people share ideas freely. They are not scared to fail because they know failure is part of learning. These are the places where innovation begins. Mistakes are not punished but studied. Feedback is not an attack but a gift. That is where great businesses are born. Carol Dweck's research showed that companies with a growth mindset create loyal employees. People feel trusted. They feel seen as learners, not as numbers. They take risks, try new things, and care about results. And when people feel safe to learn, they perform their best. A growth mindset builds a workplace where everyone can rise together. Now let's bring this closer to you. Even if you are not a boss, you are still a leader. You lead your own life. You make decisions every day. Ask yourself, do I lead with fear or with growth? When something goes wrong, do you blame or learn? When someone gives you feedback, do you close your ears or open your mind? Leadership is not about power. It is about attitude. It begins the moment you take responsibility for your choices. Here is a small reflection for you. Think of a moment when something did not go as planned. Maybe you failed a project, made a mistake at work, or disappointed someone. What did you tell yourself afterward? Did you say, "I am not good enough," or "I will learn from this"? The second answer is the voice of a leader. The more you practice that voice, the stronger your leadership becomes. Let's do a quick shadowing practice. Repeat after me, clearly and slowly. I lead by learning. I grow with my challenges. My mistakes teach me how to succeed. Good. Keep saying these lines to yourself whenever you feel doubt. They will remind you that leadership starts inside your mind. In business as in life, growth is not an event, it is a habit. The companies and people who keep learning never stay stuck. They rise, fall, and rise again. They keep improving until they build something that lasts. So whether you manage a team or manage your own dreams, choose to be the kind of leader who learns. That is how you build a life that inspires others. Chapter 7. Mindset in Love and Friendship. Mindset does not only shape our work or success, it also shapes how we love and connect with people. Carol Dweck explains that the same thinking patterns we use for learning and achievement also appear in our relationships. A fixed mindset makes love fragile. A growth mindset makes love strong. In friendship, in marriage, and even in family, the way we see mistakes and change decides how deep our connection can grow. In a fixed mindset, people believe that good relationships should be easy. They think that if two people truly care, they should never argue, never hurt, never misunderstand. So when problems appear, they panic. They say, maybe this relationship is not meant to be. They believe that love must be perfect to be real. But in a growth mindset, people understand that relationships are living things. They grow through honesty, effort, and forgiveness. They know that love is not something you find. It is something you build. Think about two friends. One feels hurt after an argument and decides to stop talking forever. The other says, "I was wrong too. Let's talk and understand each other." The first friend protects their pride. The second protects the connection. Which one do you think will have stronger friendships in life? Growth-minded people do not run from problems. They learn how to solve them together. In love, this mindset becomes even more powerful. A person with a fixed mindset might think, if my partner really loves me, they will know what I need. But a person with a growth mindset says, let's talk about what we need. One waits for perfection. The other builds understanding. One hides pain. The other shares it with trust. Real love grows when both people learn to grow together. Now, take a small moment to reflect. Think about a relationship in your life that matters deeply to you. It can be with a friend, a parent, or someone special. Ask yourself, do I expect them to be perfect, or do I allow them to grow? And also ask, do I expect myself to be perfect? Often we are harder on ourselves than we are on others. The truth is, every person is a work in progress, including you. Let's do a short shadowing practice together. Repeat these sentences slowly. I grow through love. I forgive and learn. I allow others to grow too. Good. Feel how gentle those words sound. They remind you that love is not about control. It is about patience and growth. Carol Dweck found that couples and friends who practice this mindset stay together longer and feel happier. They see arguments as chances to understand. They see differences as lessons. They listen not to win, but to connect. They do not try to fix each other, they grow with each other. So if you ever feel hurt or disappointed by someone, remember this truth. Love does not mean never falling. Love means getting up together. Growth is what keeps love alive. When you change your mindset in relationships, you do not just find better people. You become a better person yourself. Chapter 8. Where our mindsets come from. Every mindset has a story. The way you think today did not appear by accident. It started long ago, in your childhood, in your home, and in the words you heard from the people around you. Carol Dweck explains that our first teachers in life are not always in school. They are our parents, relatives, teachers, and even friends. Every word they spoke, every reaction they showed planted a small seed inside your mind. Those seeds grew into your beliefs about yourself. Think back for a moment. Can you remember a time when someone praised you as a child? Maybe they said, "You are so smart." Or maybe they said, "You worked really hard." Both sound positive, but they plant different beliefs. When you hear, "You are so smart," your brain connects success with identity. You start to fear mistakes because you do not want to lose that label. But when you hear, "You worked really hard," your brain connects success with effort. You start to see mistakes as part of the journey. That small difference shapes your entire life. In many families, love and approval are connected to success. A child who brings good grades gets hugs and smiles. The one who struggles feels ignored or compared. Slowly, the child begins to think, "I am only good when I succeed." That is how a fixed mindset is born. But when a child is encouraged to try again, even after failing, they learn something much more powerful. They learn that value comes from effort, not perfection. Let me tell you a small story. A little boy named Amir loved to draw. His teacher once told him, "You have a gift." He felt proud, but then one day he made a drawing that didn't look good. When the class laughed, he stopped drawing for months. He believed he had lost his gift. Years later, a kind teacher said to him, "You didn't lose it, you just stopped practicing." That sentence changed him. He began to draw again. He learned that ability grows when you use it. You can trace your own mindset by noticing your reactions. When you fail, do you feel shame or curiosity? When someone succeeds, do you feel inspired or jealous? Those feelings are not random. They are clues to the story that built your mindset. Once you understand that story, you can begin to rewrite it. Here is a small activity for you. Take a few minutes after this video and write down 3 messages you often heard growing up. For example, be perfect or don't make mistakes, or try your best. Then, beside each one, write a new message that supports growth. For example, change, be perfect into keep improving. Change, don't make mistakes into mistakes help me learn. Read them out loud. Let your mind hear new words. That is how new roots begin to grow. Now let's do a short shadowing exercise together. Repeat after me, slowly and clearly. My past does not limit me. I can change how I think. Every belief can be rewritten. Good. These words remind you that your past built your mindset, but it does not have to define your future. You can unlearn fear. You can replace doubt with belief. The human brain never stops growing, and neither do you. The truth is, your mindset was handed to you by others, but now it belongs to you. You are the author of your own thoughts. You get to choose what stays and what goes. Chapter 9. The Childhood Lessons We Still Carry. When we look at who we are today, we often forget how deeply our childhood shaped us. The voices we heard when we were young did not just fade away. They became our inner voice. Every word of encouragement or criticism still lives inside us, whispering in moments of challenge and success. Dweck explains that the beliefs we formed as children often follow us quietly into adulthood. Some of them help us grow. Others hold us back. Think about it. When you were young and made a mistake, how did the adults around you react? Did they say, "It's okay, try again"? Or did they say, "Why did you do that"? If you were punished for mistakes, you learned to fear them. If you were praised only when you succeeded, you learned that failure makes you less valuable. These ideas may seem small, but they build walls inside the mind. They make you afraid to explore. They make you think success is for others, not for you. A child who grows up hearing, "You're not good at this," often becomes an adult who stops trying new things. But a child who hears, "You're learning, keep going," becomes an adult who believes they can grow. That is why awareness is the first step. You cannot change what you do not see. Once you recognize the lessons you still carry, you can decide which ones to keep and which ones to let go. Let me tell you a story. When Maria was small, she loved singing. One day, a classmate laughed at her voice during a school event. She felt embarrassed and stopped singing for years. Every time she thought of singing again, she remembered that one laugh. That small moment from childhood became a big wall in her adult life. One day, she read about the growth mindset. She realized she had been living with an old belief that no longer served her. So she began singing again, just for herself. Slowly, her confidence returned. What changed her life was not talent, but mindset. You may have your own version of Maria's story. Maybe someone laughed when you spoke English, or said you were slow, or told you that you could not succeed. Those moments stay deep inside, but they do not define you forever. You can change the story by changing how you talk to yourself now. Let's do a simple activity. Take a few seconds to think of one painful lesson from your childhood that still limits you. Maybe a word someone said, or a fear that never left. Now, in your mind, say this softly. "That was then, this is now. I am growing." Feel the weight lift a little. Each time you repeat it, that old lesson loses its power. You replace fear with freedom. Now let's do a shadowing exercise together. Repeat after me. I am not my past. I am learning to grow. I create new lessons every day. Good. Feel those words. This is how you train your inner voice to speak with kindness instead of judgment. Dweck reminds us that childhood teaches us how to see the world, but adulthood gives us the chance to see it differently. You cannot control what you learned as a child, but you can control what you choose to believe now. You can become your own best teacher. So remember, the lessons you carry are not chains. They are choices. And every new belief you practice becomes a new path forward. Chapter 10. The Power of Yet. There is one small word that can completely change how you see your challenges. That word is yet. It is short, but it carries enormous power. Carol Dweck calls it the secret word of growth. When you say, "I can't do this," your mind shuts down. But when you say, "I can't do this yet," your mind opens. That one word turns failure into progress and impossibility into possibility. Think about the difference. "I can't speak English" feels final. It sounds like a wall. But "I can't speak English yet" sounds like a door waiting to be opened. It tells your brain that you are on a journey, not at the end, yet keeps you moving forward. It gives you space to learn, to grow, and to try again. Carol Dweck discovered that students who used the word "yet" performed better over time. When they failed a test, they did not feel hopeless. They said, "I haven't mastered this yet." That small sentence gave them patience. They understood that success is not about speed. It is about direction. If you are moving forward, even slowly, you are growing. Let's take a small example. Imagine a little child learning to walk. She falls many times, but no one tells her to stop. Everyone smiles and says, "You'll walk soon." That is the spirit of "yet." We all begin life with a growth mindset. We try, fail, and try again without fear. But as we grow older, we start to judge ourselves too early. We forget that learning takes time, yet helps us return to that fearless way of learning. Now let's make this practical. The next time you hear yourself say, "I'm not good at this," stop and add "yet." Say it out loud. "I'm not good at this yet." Feel how your mind changes. The word "yet" creates hope. It gives you permission to keep trying. You no longer feel stuck. You feel curious. You begin to see challenges as chances. Here is your shadowing exercise. Repeat these sentences slowly with me. "I can't do it yet, but I will learn. I am still becoming better. Every day, I get closer." Good. Let your voice feel strong and calm. Every time you say "yet," you are training your brain to stay patient. There is something beautiful about patience. It turns frustration into faith. It tells your heart that progress is not always loud. Sometimes it is quiet and slow, but it is always happening. That is why "yet" is so powerful. It reminds you that you are still on your way. So the next time you compare yourself to someone else, remember this: you are not behind. You are just not there yet. Everyone's journey moves at a different speed. What matters is that you keep walking. "Yet" is a promise to yourself. It says, "I believe in my future." When you think this way, you stop being afraid of failure, because every mistake becomes a step toward success. You do not need to rush. You just need to continue. Every "not yet" today becomes a "yes, I can" tomorrow. Chapter 11. Changing the Inner Voice. Inside your mind, there is a voice that never stops speaking. It comments on everything you do. It celebrates your victories and criticizes your mistakes. Sometimes it is kind, and sometimes it is cruel. Carol Dweck teaches us that this inner voice decides how we feel about ourselves and how we grow. The good news is that this voice can be trained. You can teach it to support you, instead of stopping you. When you fail or feel lost, that voice often says, "I am not good enough." It whispers, "Others are better than me." These words create fear and doubt. They come from the fixed mindset, which believes that ability is limited. But there is another voice waiting to be heard. It says, "I can learn from this and I am improving." That voice belongs to the growth mindset. Both voices live inside you. The one that wins is the one you listen to most. Imagine your inner voice as a friend who walks beside you every day. Would you want that friend to always judge you or to encourage you? If your inner voice is harsh, you can change its tone. When you hear it say, "You failed again," answer softly, "No, I learned again." When it says, "You can't respond," "I can try." At first it might feel strange, but this is how new mental habits are formed. Carol Dweck discovered that people who consciously change their self-talk develop faster in school, work, and life. Their brains react differently. When they face a problem, instead of shutting down, their brains become active. They look for solutions. They start seeing difficulties as challenges to overcome, not as threats to avoid. This is how a new voice takes over. Let's do a small reflection. Think about one thing that usually makes you doubt yourself. Maybe speaking in public, or taking an exam, or learning something difficult. What does your inner voice say at that moment? Write it down. Then rewrite it with the language of growth. For example, change "I'm terrible at this" into "I'm still learning." Change "I always fail" into "Every time I try, I learn more." Read your new sentences aloud. Feel the difference. Now let's practice shadowing together. Repeat these lines with calm and strength. I talk to myself with kindness. My words create my world. I am learning to be my best friend. Good. Keep practicing this every day. The more you speak with kindness, the quieter your inner critic becomes. Your voice becomes your power, not your prison. Remember that changing the inner voice takes time. You have been listening to it for years, so be patient as it learns new ways to speak. The key is awareness. When you notice negative thoughts, stop them gently and replace them with thoughts of growth. With practice, your mind begins to trust you. It learns that you are safe, strong, and capable of change. In the end, you become what you tell yourself. So make sure your words build you instead of breaking you. Let your mind hear phrases of hope, not fear. Tell yourself the truth. You are growing, you are learning, and you are becoming more each day. Chapter 12. Mindset in Learning and Education. Education is not only about books and exams. It is about how people think while they learn. Carol Dweck's research showed that the biggest difference between students who keep growing and those who give up is not intelligence but mindset. The way you think about learning decides how much you can learn. If you believe your brain can grow, it will. If you believe it cannot, it won't. In schools, you can see the two mindsets clearly. Students with a fixed mindset want to look smart. They avoid challenges because they fear failure. When they get a bad grade, they feel ashamed. They stop trying because they think it means they are not smart enough. But students with a growth mindset think differently. When they get a bad grade, they say, "I need to study more." They ask questions. They practice. They see mistakes as teachers. And soon, they start to improve. One teacher once told her students something beautiful. She said, "Your brain is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes." Her students started to believe it. They stopped saying, "I'm not good at math," and started saying, "I'm still learning math." After a few months, their results improved. That is how powerful a mindset can be. It can change the way knowledge enters your mind. Think about your own learning. Maybe you are learning English, or a skill, or something new for work. When it feels difficult, what do you tell yourself? Do you say, "I'm not good at this," or "I'm getting better"? That small difference in thinking changes everything. Your words shape your confidence, and your confidence shapes your learning speed. Let's do a simple activity. Imagine you are learning something new. You make a mistake. Instead of saying, "I failed," say, "I learned something new about how this works." Repeat it in your mind. Feel the difference. You feel lighter, calmer, more open. That is your brain growing. You are training it to connect failure with progress. Dweck's studies showed that teachers who reward effort create stronger learners. When students are praised for being smart, they become afraid to take risks. But when they are praised for trying, they become fearless. They start to enjoy learning, even when it is hard. So remember this rule for yourself and for others. Praise effort, not talent. Let's do a small shadowing practice together. Repeat these lines after me. I learn from every mistake. Effort makes my mind stronger. I enjoy learning difficult things. Good. These simple sentences build a mindset of curiosity. When you enjoy the process, results come naturally. Learning is not about being perfect. It is about staying open. Every time you study, listen, or practice, you are building new connections in your brain. Even when you feel stuck, growth is happening quietly inside. So never stop learning. Do not measure your worth by grades or speed. Measure it by your consistency. In life, those who keep learning never fall behind. They may not be the fastest, but they are the strongest, because growth never leaves those who keep seeking it. Chapter 13. Mindset and Emotions. Your emotions are powerful. They are like waves that rise and fall every day. Sometimes they lift you up, and sometimes they pull you down. Dweck explains that emotions and mindset are deeply connected. The way you handle your feelings decides how quickly you grow. If your mindset is fixed, emotions control you. But if your mindset is focused on growth, emotions become your teachers. When something goes wrong, you might feel angry, sad, or embarrassed. These feelings are normal. But what you say to yourself in that moment decides what happens next. A fixed mindset says, I'm a failure. A growth mindset says, this hurts, but I can learn from it. The first one closes the door. The second one opens it. The feeling may stay for a while, but it no longer controls your direction. Let's look at an example. Imagine you made a mistake at work. You feel terrible. Your mind keeps repeating, I always mess up. That is your emotional reaction mixed with a fixed belief. Now, imagine changing your thought to, I made a mistake. What can I do better next time? Suddenly the same emotion becomes a lesson. You still feel discomfort, but now it moves you toward growth. The same happens in relationships. When someone criticizes you, it is easy to get angry or defensive. But if you stop and breathe, you can listen differently. Ask yourself, is there something I can learn from this? Even if the person is not kind, their words might show you something new about yourself. Every emotion can bring you closer to understanding, if you allow it. Dweck's research shows that emotions are not enemies. They are messages. Fear tells you where to grow. Frustration shows you where to focus. Sadness reminds you what truly matters. When you meet these feelings with curiosity instead of fear, your mindset becomes stronger. You stop reacting and start responding. Here is a small activity. The next time you feel angry or upset, don't push the feeling away. Take a deep breath. Name the emotion quietly in your mind. Say, this is frustration, or this is disappointment. Then ask yourself one question. What can this teach me? When you do this, you transform emotion into wisdom. Now let's do a short shadowing exercise together. Repeat after me, slowly and clearly. I feel, I learn, I grow. My emotions are my teachers. I can stay calm and keep learning. Good. These words remind you that calmness is a skill. It can be practiced just like language, music, or sports. Every time you choose understanding over anger, your brain builds new emotional strength. Emotions and mindset dance together. When your emotions are wild, your mindset can guide them. When your mindset is weak, your emotions can help you grow. Both sides need each other. The goal is not to stop feeling. The goal is to feel wisely. So remember this. A growth mindset is not only about thinking smarter, it is about feeling deeper and responding better. When you learn to manage your emotions, your mind becomes clear, your decisions improve, and your confidence grows naturally. Chapter 14. Mindset in Everyday Life. Mindset is not only for schools, work, or success stories. It lives in your daily moments, in the small choices you make from morning to night. Carol Dweck teaches that every situation gives you a chance to use either a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. You can practice it while cooking, driving, talking to someone, or even making a mistake. Growth is not just for special days. It is for ordinary days that build your life quietly. Think about when you wake up and plan your day. A fixed mindset might say, "I hope everything goes smoothly today." But a growth mindset says, "No matter what happens today, I will handle it and learn from it." The second attitude gives you strength before the day even begins. The difference is invisible, but it shapes how you respond to challenges later. When you are learning something new, a fixed mindset gets frustrated and says, "This is too hard." But a growth mindset says, "This is hard, and that means I am learning something new." You see, it is not the task that changes. It is how you talk to yourself while doing it. The same moment can either stop you or help you grow. Let's look at simple daily examples. You burn the food while cooking. The fixed voice says, "I'm terrible at cooking." The growth voice says, "Next time, I'll lower the heat earlier." You forget an English word in conversation. The fixed voice says, "I'll never be fluent." The growth voice says, "That's okay. Now I know what to learn next." You come home tired and tell yourself, "I didn't do enough." But the growth mindset reminds you, "I showed up today, and I'll try again tomorrow." Carol Dweck explains that the growth mindset is not about pretending everything is perfect. It is about facing reality with curiosity instead of fear. Every mistake in your day can become a small lesson if you choose to see it that way. And those small lessons build quiet confidence. Here is a simple activity. Tonight, before you sleep, think of one moment that felt difficult today. Maybe you were upset, nervous, or tired. Then ask yourself, what did this moment teach me? Write down one short sentence that shows growth. For example, I learned that I can calm down faster, or I learned that I need to plan better. This small reflection helps you end the day with learning, not regret. Now let's do a short shadowing practice. Repeat these lines with me. I learn something every day. Challenges are my teachers. My daily life helps me grow. Good. When you repeat these sentences often, you start to see the world differently. You begin to find meaning in small things. Even waiting in traffic becomes practice for patience. Even washing dishes becomes a lesson in focus. Growth is everywhere when your eyes are open to it. Over time, this daily mindset becomes your way of living. You stop waiting for big changes. You realize that small daily actions shape your future. You become calm, confident, and steady. That is when you understand that mindset is not just something you learn from a book. It becomes a lifestyle. So remember this truth. Every day gives you a choice. You can repeat the same thoughts as yesterday, or you can grow a little more. Every choice matters, even the small ones. Growth is not a single event. It is a daily habit of awareness and courage. Chapter 15. The Journey of Changing Mindsets. Changing your mindset is not something that happens overnight. It is a journey that takes patience, awareness, and practice. Carol Dweck reminds us that everyone has a mix of both mindsets. No one is fully fixed or fully growing. The goal is not to be perfect, but to become aware of how you think, and then choose growth again and again. The first step of this journey is awareness. You start noticing the voice in your mind. You hear when it says, "I can't," or "I'm not good enough." Before, you listened without thinking. Now you stop and ask, "Is this my fixed mindset talking?" Awareness is like turning on a light in a dark room. You finally see what has been guiding you all along. The second step is challenge. Growth begins when you choose discomfort. It is easy to stay where you feel safe, but real change happens when you step outside that circle. Carol Dweck's research shows that people who actively put themselves in new situations build stronger confidence. So the next time you feel nervous, smile and say, "This is where I grow." The third step is practice. A mindset is a habit of thought, and habits need repetition. Each time you replace "I can't" with "I can learn," you train your brain. The more you practice, the faster it becomes automatic. At first it may feel forced, but soon it feels natural. That is how you build a new mental reflex. The fourth step is reflection. Growth does not happen only during action. It also happens in stillness. Take a few minutes every evening to reflect on your day. Ask yourself 3 questions. What did I learn? What was difficult? How did I respond? Writing your answers helps you see how much you are already changing. Let's make this real with an example. A man named Daniel always believed he was bad at public speaking. His hands would shake, and his voice would break. But instead of giving up, he decided to learn about growth mindset. He began small. Every week he spoke to a small group of friends. He recorded himself, watched his mistakes, and learned from them. Each time he improved a little. After a few months, he gave a talk at his office. It was not perfect, but it was powerful. He said afterward, "The moment I stopped trying to be perfect and started trying to learn, everything changed." That is what this journey feels like. It is not a straight road. Some days you grow fast, and other days you fall back. But every time you choose to try again, you move forward. Growth mindset is not about always winning. It is about always returning. Now let's do a small shadowing practice together. Repeat after me. I can change how I think. I grow every time I try. My journey never stops. Good. Say these lines often. They remind you that transformation is a process. You are not expected to be perfect. You are only expected to keep going. At some point, you will look back and realize that your old thoughts no longer fit you. You will speak differently, act differently, and even feel lighter. That is when you know your mindset has shifted. Changing your mindset is not a one-time event. It is a lifelong friendship with growth itself. Once you start walking this path, you begin to see opportunities everywhere. You stop fearing challenges. You start welcoming them. Are you ready to see how life looks when a growth mindset becomes part of who you are, not just what you practice? Chapter 16. The New You. Living with a Growth Mindset. There comes a moment when growth no longer feels like effort. It becomes your natural way of living. You stop chasing perfection and start celebrating progress. You begin to see that every mistake has a purpose, and every delay has a lesson. This is what Carol Dweck calls living with a growth mindset. It is not about pretending to be positive all the time. It is about trusting that no matter what happens, you can grow from it. When you live with a growth mindset, Failure does not scare you anymore. You see it as a teacher that arrives to help you improve. You start to enjoy the process of learning. You wake up curious. You face new things without fear. Even when you fall, you know you can rise. That quiet confidence changes how you move through life. It makes you stronger, calmer, and more creative. Look at your daily life now. Maybe you face stress at work, problems in relationships, or doubts about your goals. A fixed mindset says, "I can't handle this." A growth mindset says, "I can learn how to handle this." That single shift gives you control. You stop being a victim of life. You become the creator of it. Every situation, even the painful ones, turns into a classroom. People around you will start to notice something different. They will see that you respond to problems with patience. They will see that you listen instead of react. They will see that you try again after failure without shame. That is what living with a growth mindset looks like. It inspires others silently. You don't need to tell them what you've learned. They will see it in the way you live. Here is a reflection you can try tonight. Sit quietly and think about one area of your life that used to make you afraid. Maybe learning, speaking up, or trying something new. Ask yourself, what did I learn from that fear? Write one short sentence that shows growth. It might be, "I learned to believe in myself," or "I learned that effort creates change." Keep this note somewhere you can see it. It will remind you that your growth is real. Now let's do one final shadowing practice together. Repeat these lines slowly and clearly. I am growing every day. I believe in learning. I choose progress over perfection. Beautiful. These words describe who you are becoming. When you start living this way, life feels lighter. You stop waiting for the right time or the right feeling. You simply begin. You focus on effort, on learning, on small daily actions. And soon, you realize that growth has become your identity. You are not pretending to have a better mindset. You are living it naturally. This is the power of the book mindset. It shows that change begins in your thoughts and spreads into every part of your life. Once you see yourself as someone who can grow, the world opens wider. Obstacles shrink. Dreams feel possible. You no longer chase success. You grow into it, step by step. So remember this: you are not a finished story. You are a living learner. Every day gives you a chance to start again. Choose curiosity over fear, learning over pride, and patience over perfection. That is how you live with a growth mindset. If this summary of mindset inspired you, click like, share it with someone who needs to hear this today, and subscribe to the channel for more powerful audiobook lessons in simple English. Tell me in the comments what part of this journey spoke to you the most. Your growth has already begun. Keep going. Keep learning. Keep becoming.